If we're going to go down to El Salvador, we're trying to make sure we can check in on Kilmar and make sure he's in good health and talk to him about the efforts to bring him back. But the overall goal is to make sure we keep the pressure on the Trump administration to comply with the court orders from the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey. He's the latest Democrat to head to El Salvador to visit alleged MS-13 gang member, suspected human smuggler, and don't forget accused wife beater Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Ivey falsely is claiming that Abrego Garcia is a constituent, even though he's actually a criminal illegal alien. And hello, everybody. I'm Joey Jones, along with Taylor Riggs, Alicia Acuna, and Kevin Cork, and welcome to this special edition of the Big Weekend Show. As we showed you, Ivey joins a long list of Democrats who rushed to Abrego Garcia's side. He follows Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen and 4 other lawmakers. Van Hollen even found some time to grab a drink, we think it was a margarita, with Abrego Garcia, while President Trump has continued to show off Abrego Garcia's MS-13 gang tattoos to show who this man really is. Taylor, I'll come to you on this first. It's kind of insane that you have all these representatives from Maryland rushing to this one person, calling them a constituent when there's so much going on, like in the city of Baltimore.
Yes.
There's so much going on here at home.
What about all of the victims from these people, from all of the women who've been raped and murdered from illegal immigrants, right? And we're actually going to be rushing to go help these people in prison. I said this last night, and I think I'll take a quote from you. I think you said you don't need to help the Democrats with any strategy, but you'll give them some strategy. This is a winning issue for Trump and the American people.
Yep.
Illegal immigration, as I said last night, the crackdown on the border. I think the #1 polling issue right now has been the border. It has been so successful from Trump's first 4 months in presidency. So I am hopeful. I think that the American viewers and the American people understood last November what was at stake, and it continues to be a top polling issue, which builds political will for what we're trying to get done. The president is at least what he's done in the first 4 months.
Alicia, I admittedly don't tune in to Rachel Maddow or the other networks very often, mainly because I don't want to torture myself. But I do get on X and see what other people post. And it really seemed to me like once the information about this guy came out, like that fire kind of sizzled out. So why are they reigniting it? What is the gain here?
I keep asking myself that exact same question because what they're arguing is that the administration is bypassing the process here. And actually, when the courts right now are pushing back on the administration as well. So as opposed to just letting that battle play out, Democrats have taken someone who is possibly the worst poster child for an issue and continue to remind Americans that they are backing this guy and getting on planes and traveling very far, going to a dangerous place to help him out.
Yeah, you can stand on principle and not embrace someone who's a bad person and done bad things. All right, Democrats have made protecting illegal aliens, well, they made their top priority. 3 House members caused chaos in Newark, New Jersey this month after they tried to storm an ICE facility, and it sounds like they want even more mayhem. The DOJ has already charged Democrat LaMonica McIver with allegedly assaulting a law enforcement officer during the ordeal. But apparently, Democrats are now doubling down on visits to ICE facilities. Axios is reporting that several House Democrats are planning their own trips over this week's recess. Kevin, I've seen the video. You could make an argument either way. Did she assault a guy? Are there a lot of people pushing? It does seem like the Trump administration is going to make an example out of this person because they have to draw a hard line, and I don't blame them.
I think Alina Habba is the way to go on this one, and Judge Janine also. I mean, if you're going to push them, they're going to push back. And there are critics out there who say it's about time, because if you look back at what happened over the last 4 years, they really targeted not just the former president, now president again, but his allies and his friends and political supporters. And so there's a sense in Washington that turnabout is fair play. But let me just say this. I think, to sort of speak to what Alicia was talking about, I think the idea for Democrats here is, let's keep pushing this because this does raise money. People get outraged. They feel like, you know what, this is our one chance to get people who are otherwise feeling demoralized about the election, about sort of running roughshod over Democrats on Capitol Hill with all these executive actions and all these positive things that are happening for the president. Maybe they're saying, listen, we can raise money on this. That's the only thing I can think of.
Alicia?
Yeah, I just want to add, I'm really curious about what they're hoping to accomplish with these visits that they're planning this week, because you had that chaos in Newark, right? So are they planning a do-over there? Because once they were actually let in to do the job they said they were there to do, they came out and said, it's
fine.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Exactly.
So what kind of attention are they expecting to get when they go to all of these other places?
Taylor, it's kind of funny to me on this issue. There is a big, beautiful bill that just went over to the Senate, and chances are, at best, it'll get ratified in conference, which means the House will have to weigh in on it again.
Yep.
If I'm Hakeem Jeffries, how do I feel about these members of Congress rushing down to El Salvador, rushing through an ICE facility when he believes their winning issue is probably on spending money?
Yeah. That's a good point, because after the border, I think the second big issue is people voted on, and I think where Trump is polling has been, it's the economy, stupid, right? It's figuring out the big, beautiful bill is for the big, great tax cuts. We want the extension of the tax cuts, plus some great new tax cuts that we have in there, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Reducing, being able to deduct the expensing of an auto loan, the way you do it on a mortgage loan, right? And so I think if Republicans can stay focused on that issue, that's a win. My only other, I think, frustration here, the courts did not weigh in at all when we had open borders. I did not hear one judge ever weigh in. But now all of a sudden that we're trying to right-size our country and close the borders, now all the judges want to get involved. I need consistency. Whether it's involvement or no involvement, I need consistency.
Well, you talk about a transition. Thanks for teeing that up. One judge that got a little bit too involved is an instance where liberals, well, they're protecting illegals because new surveillance footage is showing us the links that Wisconsin judge Hannah Dugan went to hide an illegal immigrant from ICE. So now the Trump administration is going to target courthouses to arrest illegals immediately after they've been deported or had their case dropped. I'll go to you on this, Kevin. We've seen the reporting on this. Has she stepped in some hot water here?
Big time hot water, and a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, you can run, but you can't hide. There's a lot of people who feel like if you're not careful, the weight of the government will fall down upon you. And just remember this last thing, okay? I get your compassion. I get that you're trying to maybe do what you feel is right. I'm a judge, and I'm going to do what's right by my courtroom. You are beholden to the law just like the rest of us. I think she's in big trouble, and I wouldn't be surprised, mark this down, if she ends up facing real time.
Yeah,
Alicia?
This was a suspect who was in there for allegations of domestic abuse and battery. And regardless of his status of being in this country, would she just let some other suspect just out without any consideration to the alleged victims that were out there as well, or the community as a whole? And so it just seemed to be like blinded by politics here and just fighting the administration as opposed to thinking about the people who could be impacted.
Taylor?
Elon Musk was talking about a different judge. This was a Delaware judge in his financial world. But he said it's not a judge, it was an activist.
That's right.
And I think that's where when we think about how people on both sides of the aisle feel like the law has been politicized, this is why, because you get judges that you want to really believe are on the truth spectrum, and then when they start acting more like activists instead of judges, it really clouds our trust, I think, in the judicial system.
I absolutely agree. You know, I like it when judges do veteran court. They take into consideration what somebody's gone through. But to try and do this to federal law enforcement and ICE, Kevin, I just don't understand how she would even have a defense on this.
She doesn't really have a defense on this. And I think ultimately what's going to happen is they will say, listen, I was misinformed about the process. You're a judge. You shouldn't be. But that'll be the plausible argument to make. I still think the hammer comes down. I think she's in big trouble. If I were putting money on the table, somebody said betting 50-50, she goes to jail or doesn't, my chips are going. She's going to jail.
And watch this video. If you haven't seen this video, watch this video, because the reason why they ended up being able to grab him is because one of those ICE agents, one of those federal agents that she tried to trick,
hung back,
followed and watched him go out the door.
Plainclothes officer.
He ran, yes, plainclothes. So,
We'll see what happens there. All right, still to come, this brand new hour of the Big Weekend Show, Sloths and Slugs or Lions and Sharks. We'll break down how swing state voters see Democrats and Republicans, plus this.
If that is not a Democrat's slogan in 2028, something has gone terribly wrong. Overcome the stink.
That's what Jon Stewart thinks should be the Democrats' new slogan. Will they listen?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.